Well, the corruption case against former ANC Secretary General Magashule and his co-accused has been postponed to the 15th of April next year. Magashule has failed to secure a stay of prosecution. Now, he faces fraud charges relating to a Free State asbestos roofing tender. But our reporter, Moloko Moloto, is tracking that story. Joining me live now for an update out in court in Bloemfontein. Moloko, good to have you back. We saw those court proceedings, but what exactly happened with regards to the events that led to this case then being postponed?
Well, the main appearance for today really was for a pre-trial conference wherein both the state as well as the defense would just have to finalize a few things and agree on a trial date. And as you correctly said, there it's now been set for the 15th of April next year until the 23rd of June. If memory serves me well. So it's going to be a lengthy trial because we had the state advocate there indicating that the papers, the evidence for this particular case runs into thousands and thousands of papers. And there was an agreement that all the accused who were present in court indeed are going to appear on that particular date for a trial. So it didn't take much time. But one thing that was important here, Dumelo, was that as Magashule was walking into the courtroom, we managed to speak to him because there has been allegations doing the rounds here, having spent time here in the Free State. Some of the people telling us that they actually are working with Magashule to form a new political party with him as the face, as the president and leader of that new political party to contest the African National Congress and for state power next year. So we asked Magashule to respond to that allegation, and he says, look, I'm still a member of the ANC, but I've been approached, he says, to form this political party. He's certainly not ruling out the possibility of forming his party, because even when you ask him as an ANC member and leader, who would you be voting for next year, he says, my vote remains a secret. But maybe let's listen to Magashule there as he reacts to this particular trial date that's now been set for next year.
We have been prepared, and I don't know preparing for what. When I'm charged with oversight, I hear in the media they pump a story, radio they pump a story. 70 Magashule and others, charges of fraud, corruption, money laundering. My charges is simple, oversight and another one or two, there are three, from 70. But the media is still pumping the story that I'm facing so many charges. And what is oversight? There is the writer he reported, because Mr. Gordon confirmed that the writer also reported to him about alleged corruption in ESCO, true or not. But what did Mr. Gordon do? Is he going to be charged with oversight? What is this oversight? So on the 15th of April, I'm happy that now the date has been decided, and those who have committed crime and corruption, if they have done so, they'll be either guilty or whatever. I have not committed any crime. I still want to understand what crime have I committed. And we'll see. I'm happy now that this thing has come to an end until the case is, until we're on trial next year.
Well, Moloko, I mean, Magashule is still maintaining his innocence there, saying that he has done nothing wrong. I heard him early on even speaking to you, saying he kept insisting to his legal representatives, his lawyers, to let the case sit. However, they said, listen, law and law, and they will continue appealing where they see fitting. But it sounds like he still maintains that he has done absolutely nothing wrong in this asbestos tender case.
Yes, he really believes that he did nothing wrong. He says, I have not stolen even a cent from the taxpayer. And importantly, he tried to, after losing in the High Court, to have this particular matter not proceed. He appealed through the Supreme Court of Appeal, and last week the Supreme Court of Appeal rejected that particular application, and I asked him whether he will pursue this in the Apex Court. He said, no, I just want this trial to go on, bring it on. But let me bring into this conversation Mr. Magashule. He speaks for the National Prosecuting Authority here in the Free State Province. Sir, thank you so much for your time. You might not have heard Mr. Magashule as we were playing his bite there. He actually says initially he had been charged with over 70 counts of various charges, and now they have now been trimmed to about 3. And he's saying, look, one of the charges is about oversight, something that he really doesn't understand as to how can one be charged for on an oversight charge. Be clear, what are the specific charges that Mr. Magashule is facing, and how many counts?
Well, in total, as far as the indictment is concerned, the accused are facing around 95 charges that include fraud and corruption and contravention of the Public Finance Management Act.
So in other words, specifically with Mr. Magashule, you don't know, or you're not prepared to specifically say this is what we are charging him for?
No, we can't say now as to which charge relates to which accused, but what I can tell you is that in total there are 95 charges that the state had preferred against all the accused that are involved in this case.
The trial date has been set, and Mr. Magashule has repeatedly been saying that this is a political persecution. I have done nothing and all this and that. How do you react to that?
Well, fortunately, a trial date has now been agreed upon, which is the 15th of April next year. State will be afforded opportunity to present all the evidence that we have against all the accused, and they will also be afforded an opportunity to rebut whatever evidence that the state would have presented before the court. And then at the end of the day, it will be up to the presiding officer to make a decision as to whether there was a case or there was not a case.
This is one of the state capture cases that will be going on trial. Specifically, actually, it is the second one after the New Lane trial, where we know that as the state you were lambasted by the acting judge there, who basically said that you were not prepared, you did a clumsy job, and I know I'm inserting my words in her judgment there. This time around, how confident are you that you do have a watertight? Are we not going to see you as the state being embarrassed?
No, we have said many times before when this case was appearing before the court that as state we are ready, we have gathered all the required evidence, and we are convinced that there is a case for all the accused to answer. Hence, we have taken a decision to place the matter on the court roll. We are not going to place a matter on the court roll if you are not convinced that there is a case for the accused to answer.
Mr. Magashule is the spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority here in the Free State, confident that they do have a watertight case. On the other hand, Magashule saying, bring it on, I have done nothing wrong. And he was saying earlier that the truth is going to emerge now that the trial date has been set.
Yeah, and I'm also just not sure, Moloko, if that necessarily also vindicates the media. If I heard Magashule correctly, he said it seems the media is the one responsible for peddling all these alleged charges against him, saying he's only charged with oversight. But from what I'm hearing from the spokesperson, your guest there, saying that there are definitely charges they're pursuing. They would not pursue a case if they didn't have evidence leading them to believe that there is a case, even though he didn't necessarily pinpoint to any case for Magashule as an individual, but saying all the accused are facing that 90 somewhat number of charges. But colleague, we'll leave it there for now, and we'll be sure, of course, to continue looking through this matter. Magashule, of course, appearing in court today and saying that he is innocent. He's done absolutely nothing wrong. He hasn't stolen any money from the poor nor the taxpayer, and he will allow, of course, justice to prevail in this regard, saying to his lawyers that he wants this case to sit so that he can state his truth. Moloko Moloto on this story for us out in Free State.